Yeah, I give a word to Mert. Let's.
Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you for inviting me over. I'm really excited to meet you all today. So when Anastasia mentioned that there are people in Ukrainian community that are interested in building their own businesses in Vietnam, I was like, yeah, that's great. You know, like I'm a big sort of like advocate for that. I think I have done a few of those. And I felt like, you know, today, because we have a small group too, we can keep it more or less conversational. I would love to sort of hear more about the plans that you have, questions, concerns that you may have. You know, we can keep it definitely like an open discussion. Just to help that discussion, I thought I can start with my own experiences in Vietnam, what I have done here so far, what I have observed, what I liked, what I found challenging, just to give you guys some context, and then we can go wherever you want to go with it. Okay? All right, great. So I am originally from Turkey, actually, so not far from you know, your part of the world. And back in 2007, I left Turkey. My family still lives there, but I first moved to the United States. I studied and worked there for many years. I also created my first business there. Then for fate, I'm going to call it destiny, I guess. Since 2008, I've been visiting Vietnam in different capacities. It was first for a class. Then I came here for a summer internship. I had romantic relationships with a Vietnamese American woman. So fate kept bringing me back to Vietnam, I guess, you know. And then finally, back in 2022, I was looking for an overseas team for my startup in America. My startup does AI-based image generation, and we needed a data team and an engineering team. And I felt like, hey, you know, Vietnam is actually a good place to look into. And then I started recruiting people here. We built a team in Saigon and Da Nang. And about a year and a half ago, finally, I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should turn Da Nang into a second home for myself. And since the beginning of last year, I've been pretty much here, you know, on full-time basis. And I picked Da Nang not just for business reasons. I just love this part of the world. You know, Hoi An and Da Nang have been very dear to my heart, I would say, since 2008, since the first time I came here. Things were a bit different back then. I look different too. In that blurry photo, I look much younger, I guess. But there has been some charm, you know, like I found this part of the world really charming. There is culture, heritage, nature, and people are still very hardworking. They try a lot. So there is just a lot to appreciate. And I felt really comfortable, I think, in Hoi An and Da Nang. So as a result, you know, things started growing. It was first with my Oda Studio business. That's the business that I built the team here for. And we currently already have 20 Vietnamese employees. They are contractors of our American business, but I have a general manager here, and you know, she manages the team, and I directly work with her. And then a bit more than a year ago, I met with the founder of ACE Co-working. I don't know if you guys have been to ACE. Okay, perfect. So ACE used to be in a small location, not in its current location, but at a different location. And about a year and a half ago, founder Kuinan was looking for a new spot for ACE Co-working. So I decided to partner with her. And then we first moved co-working to Chan Van Street. It's right over here, actually, a few minutes up. And then just a few months ago, we created a new space called ACE Hub. So if you have been to ACE Hub, there we do, you know, yoga classes, presentations, and poker nights and whatnot, you know, a whole bunch of things. So that business, obviously, what I do with ACE is a completely Vietnamese business. It's incorporated here, and our staff is Vietnamese, and we are serving to, you know, nomads and Vietnamese. But you know, after my experience with Oda, which was essentially a tech company, what I have done with ACE is totally different. You know, it's running a coffee shop and, you know, running a physical business, dealing with people every day. It was very different than any kind of experience I had before. It was a totally new thing. But I also, you know, realized, hey, like, it was kind of nice to start it in Vietnam because people have this, you know, okay, let's go get it. Let's go get it done attitude, which really helps. And you see how many coffee shops there are in Vietnam. People are very experienced with F&B here. So even though I personally did not have experience, even Queen Anne didn't have experience with, coffee shops, we managed to sort of bring it to life. And then most recently, I am working on a new project. Actually, it's called Spont, and it's with two partners. One is Hungarian, another is American. Even though the business is based in Vietnam, we are now working on building a subsidiary here too. So essentially, I think I have kind of like a three business that are operating in Vietnam in different capacities. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is, as I mentioned, ACE is a business incorporated and built here. Spont is going to have a subsidiary here. Oda is built in America just as a contractor team here. So I have had experience, operating businesses with different levels of, legal status and engagement in Vietnam. So as you guys are exploring your options too, some of you might already have businesses, might already be doing things, back at home or in other countries, and you might be exploring just building teams here. That's definitely fine. And some of you might want to just incorporate a business here. That's okay too. I'm happy to talk about both. And let's talk about why I was especially attracted to Vietnam. Obviously, things started with the talent. 3 years ago when I was building a team here, I realized, wow, there are very well-educated Vietnamese employees, and they don't like to work for other Vietnamese businesses. They like to work for foreign clients. And they are sort of like, they can take ownership of their work. They are highly responsible. So there were a few things that I needed that sort of worked well. And because I needed a big team too, I needed to really be able to delegate part of the work to a team here with confidence. I needed to be able to trust them. And I've been really comfortable working with Vietnamese people in all those aspects. So that worked very well for me. And then, the expat community is the second thing that I'm going to talk about, especially with ACE. So ACE obviously is a co-working space, community space. But interestingly, we are catering to a lot of internationals. So that has been great for me because I've been interested in co-working business for a very long time. And I actually considered different locations. I definitely considered America, considered Turkey, considered Saudi Arabia. Like opening a, co-working space in America is just such a long process, and it requires so much investment, so much work. It would drive me crazy essentially, right? But doing it here in Vietnam was like this, it felt like all the pieces were in place already. I just needed to assemble them. And the fact that there is already a very strong international community here all of a sudden also made me realize, wow, even if I want to create a new space, a new service that can scale internationally, starting here kind of makes sense. It's easy to start here. It's easy to experiment here, iterate and build the concept. And then, take it and, also launch it in different countries if you want. That certainly works. I'm going to jump on to the next point, the growing market point. I don't know what kind of businesses you guys are considering. Some of you might be interested in maybe F&B businesses or becoming, coaches here, other service businesses. But if you are interested in, some of the tech markets, tech related industries, Vietnam is also growing its presence in those across, I would say, 3 different areas. One, the talent is really good, and there is more and more young talent coming up. Talent is far more affordable, compared to hiring elsewhere. It's definitely much cheaper here. Plus, Vietnamese government is getting more and more sort of conscious of the edge that they have, and they want to be able to tap into that. Just last weekend, they passed a new law called Digital Transformation Law to offer benefits to foreigners that want to build businesses here or that want to invest in businesses here across AI, semiconductors, crypto, and a few other markets. So to the extent that some of you are interested in that, happy to talk more about that. And finally, personal fit. I was just talking with you about that too. Like back in America, I live in San Francisco, which is a great place, but people are so workaholic that after 3-4 months, I start feeling neurotic, like every conversation is about startups, investments, where AI is going. Like I am going crazy, I feel like I want to run away. On one hand, it's a great place to build, but on the other hand, like, I don't think I am built like some of the other people who thrive there. I need a bit more balance. And I love it here. Like, there is definitely, compared to some of the other places in Southeast Asia, there is still intensity and high energy here. Vietnamese people themselves are hardworking. There are a lot of hustlers here. So having that environment has been helpful for me to continue to build things here. But at the same time, just get out and go to the beach, right? Go to the mountains, go to Hoi An when I really need a break. That sort of access and the variability of space has helped me a lot. I feel much more grounded here. I'm not going through these like crazy cycles of, burning out, crashing, and then burning out again and crashing. Like things feel far more healthy, and I like that. So that has been a particular reason for me to be in Da Nang. Now let's get into a few maybe sort of like logistical questions about what it feels like to build businesses here. And again, I think we can get as detailed as you like with your questions, but a few things that I want to highlight. Launching a business here, like registering a business here, getting licensed, it's actually not that difficult. It's just a matter of days. If you are working with a lawyer, especially, they prepare the paperwork for you. They make everything smooth. Obviously, since you are a foreigner, they would need your information, notarized passports and visas and this and that. But they are quite comfortable with that process, and they've been doing very well in that department. One thing to be considerate of is for most of the businesses, they are going to require an initial capital. So you need to put some money into the bank. Generally, it tends to be about a minimum of $15,000. But what happens is you just need to have that money in the bank while applying. After you get approved, you can take it and then you can do whatever you want, right? So it's not meant to be like a locked-in capital. So they are flexible and comfortable with it. And lawyers here are very well aware of all the loopholes, so they can help you with making that happen. But ultimately, it's a requirement. Now, what are some of the other advantages? Just as I mentioned, especially if you want to create a physical business that's going to need an office space or a restaurant space, rents are low. If you need to hire chefs or staff, salaries are low. You can find really good furniture and equipment here. There are a lot of Vietnamese manufacturers here as well. You can supply some of these locally. So it's actually easy to get started with something of a great product, quite affordably. You don't need to spend too much money to get started and test things, right? So if you are just in the testing phase, especially, and if you want to sort of build your own concept, I think it's a great place to do that. And finally, Vietnam obviously is a socialist country, and they have all kinds of workforce protection laws. You cannot make people work overtime without paying them. You have to, pay them extra during holidays, etc. Right? There's a lot of protection. But at the same time, employees themselves are quite flexible. Most of them don't require you to register them as full-time employees with benefits. They are comfortable with just essentially working almost like contractors, and you still sign a contract with them, but you don't need to do anything with the government. Again, that helps with, hiring, that helps with reducing your costs and stuff. Employees are totally comfortable with that because they already get a lot of benefits from the government. They don't feel like you need to pay extra insurance or tax to the government. Okay, and finally, the last thing that I want to mention before I open it up for questions and comments for you guys are the challenges of doing business here, especially if you are planning to register and then operate alone too. If you are thinking that, hey, I don't want a local partner. I don't need a local team. I just want something that I am going to run myself. So what are some challenges there? So the one big thing is, you have to deal with government and a lot of agencies at the beginning of setting things up. And in my experience, going through it as myself versus allowing my Vietnamese partner to go through it, there has been a huge difference. I don't know if you had any problems with law enforcement here, but even police and everybody else, they always protect the locals. They are going to be friendlier to their own. So things will be just far more smoother if you have at least one Vietnamese staff who can represent you, or at the very least a lawyer or an accountant. Second thing is Vietnamese laws and regulations change kind of too frequently. Because things are a bit top down here, they are going to change the tax regulation entirely all of a sudden, or they are going to introduce a new regulation out of nowhere. So most recently, one thing that happened that affected us at ACE too was you could run essentially what they call the family business here. If the business was small enough to be classified as a family business, you could run it. And what it meant is, as a family business, you only paid an upfront tax of a few million to the government, a few million Vietnamese dong, and that was it. Then they didn't come and check on you at all. Just once at the beginning of the year, I think annually you have to pay it. But now what they did is they changed that law. Now, people need to be relying on invoices, IPOS to make sales. And along with that, most of the small businesses now need to pay tax as a percentage of their revenue too. So a lot of, we at ACE had to adjust to this new system. And a lot of smaller businesses are struggling quite a lot, is what I'm hearing through my staff. So these sort of things can happen, right? Not all of these new regulations are bad, obviously. The law that I just mentioned, right, this digital transformation law has been quite friendly towards foreigners, actually. But it's something to be aware of. And again, if you are on your own, if you are running things on your own, you have to watch out, right? You have to watch out constantly. And finally, dealing with suppliers, landlords. I don't know if you guys are renting from Vietnamese here or others, but again, if you are working with a Vietnamese employee or a partner, those things also help. Like you get more favorable conversations, more favorable deals. That has been my personal experience, at least, right? So if you are doing things on your own, again, you have to be very diligent. You have to ensure that you are not ultimately getting taken advantage of. People are very nice. People definitely want to be helpful here, locals. But at the same time, if they are doing business, they want to be able to extract as much value from you as possible, right? So you have to be aware of that. Yeah. Okay, I think that's sort of the context that I wanted to provide about my work and my experiences here. And I'm obviously happy to chat now. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you are considering certain businesses, would love to hear them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was maybe asking who maybe wants to open a business here, maybe who has an idea, or maybe like fantasy, or because I was maybe like I do have also. Okay, okay, just you. And what's my idea is maybe kind of cafe co-working cafe event space, something like this. Like, thank you. What's maybe your idea?
I also like with my friends we're doing events, but it's not like business. It's more like I don't know, just for fun, because it's not the area where you can make more money.
Okay.
That's what I think. But I also have an idea about making like sewing business, like clothing shop, like clothing shop. Yes, because like there are a lot of so talented tailors here in Hoi An, and also Vietnamese silk, Vietnamese fabric, and I don't see here a lot of shops, especially for I don't know where to buy clothes, and I usually hear a lot from my friends that, I want to buy some clothes, but I don't know where to buy it. So yeah, I was thinking about starting like online shop. without an office, but maybe later, if it would be successful, I'm going to make like physical shop to sell clothes for girls, like from natural fabrics.
Okay. What's yours?
I have like this software as a service idea, so it's basically not for Vietnam, but kind of incorporated in Vietnam. I'm not sure if I will be registering it here or whatever, but kind of good to know how it works.
Okay, I'm interested how to open. Louder. I'm interested how to open like yoga studio practicing space. It's one of the idea, and another one I found that in Vietnam they have a lot of very quality masters who make interesting items from the wood.
Food, yeah.
And very nice clothes, really good quality. Yes, and I have like already have a good community of people who interested in this style, and I'm interested in what I need. For example, I open trade company, or how, for example, I need some partner for get these goods and put to the containers, for example, for selling to Europe, to USA, something like that. I'm interested in how it works here.
I have a couple of the ideas. One of them is something about a restaurant, perhaps, and the second one it's like co-working space / events. But if it's co-working, it's like with plenty of phone booths, like very proper, like high-end, maybe furniture, so where people will feel like it's the place where I can not only work but also chill and enjoy, and at the same time like having everything, including the AC and everything, because I knew the people here struggling with the AC. This is the first, and the second is like construction all the time. Sometimes we really need a private space, where you can have like face-to-face or any interaction, like online, let's say, meeting. So I was thinking something in that way, like in that direction perhaps. But yeah, the interesting also about the fashion, as the lady mentioned earlier. I think all the ladies, they like plus minus this idea, so let's see. But I noticed something here in Vietnam. People pretty much like open-minded, I would say, try to like helpful, but at the same time what I noticed, when it comes to the apartments, I was trying to rent the apartments. I already moved 3 times. And what I noticed, when you deal with Vietnamese, they say like, yeah, that's fine. We have a deal, blah, blah, blah. But eventually, when you come to get the apartment or something, all of a sudden, 1 million nonsense, like literally nonsense things happens. Like, I don't know, my cat is delivering, so I cannot come and give you the key. I don't know, like very weird stuff. So then I was thinking, how is it easy or hard to deal with them when it comes to the business? Because you need to rely on them, right? It's not like we have a deal verbally, but when it comes to the business, oh well, no, like the plans has changed. I do understand that it should be officially and everything legally as well. Makes sense totally. But my question is like, you already have been dealing with them. First and first, like if it comes to any business, I heard that it should be the local shareholder as well. What is the percentage? Let's say if you as a foreigner plus the Vietnamese, the partner, what is the percentage of the shareholder details? And at the same time, like how easy or how hard is deal with them on daily business when it comes to the business?
Okay, we have the first question.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So I heard a few different questions, and what I will try to do is maybe give some general answers, but I might have forgotten some of the details, so definitely feel free to jump back in, okay? So a couple of things that I heard. So what was your name again?
Andy.
Andy, yeah. So Andy mentioned software as a service business, and then a few of you mentioned like maybe something more on the clothing side or selling wood, right? So I think I'm going to start there because I think there might be some, I'll go gradually from the lightest business that you can create to more complex things, right? So if you are interested in, first of all, selling to customers outside of Vietnam, yeah, like it can be in Europe, it can be in your home country, maybe it's even in your community, other expats. There might be ways to do that without even registering a business here. So that's the first thing that I wanted to highlight. Like if you ultimately really want to register business, you can do that in Singapore. You might even be able to do it in America, right? There are places where registering a business is far easier, and ultimately it is far more favorable to manage later on too. So that's the first question to ask. Like, you can be physically present here, but do you need your business to be actually registered in Vietnam is definitely the first question to ask. Like, even if you are going to, let's say, manufacture clothing lines, right? Yeah, let's say it's an online shop. Maybe you can even manage it like a drop shipping business, almost like that, right? I mean, I think you can register it elsewhere, because the Vietnam part is customers in Europe, right? Customers paying for. Oh, okay, so if the customers are Vietnam, and it's going to get shipped in Vietnam, let's put it that way, right? So even in that scenario, I think if, let's say, your business is incorporated elsewhere, your bank is in Singapore or in Cyprus or elsewhere, right? Let's say, you might still be able to collect the funds there and then pay your local supplier here, as long as you have some kind of an arrangement with the supplier here where they are happy to take care of shipping too. Then you are fine, because many of the manufacturers themselves may not like it, but especially wholesalers, they are okay with actually taking care of shipping. Yeah. So if you can find partners like that, ultimately you don't need to worry about all that, right? Maybe what you worry about is building the product, building the marketing and online store, and then you just take care of, you almost act like the middle business afterwards. You know, somebody else is manufacturing it, somebody else is shipping it, but you are bringing the customer, you are deciding on what the concept should be. So I'm saying all of this just to, you know, make life as simple as possible, right? Going with the simplest solution always is best. Obviously, if you are going to open an online store, you need a bank, you need a credit card processing system, etc. But you can do it with Stripe and, you know, get it done anywhere in the world now. So that's, I think that's the first thing that I want to mention. Are there other questions? Like, do you have any follow-ups on that before I go into? Yeah, and you can ask later too. You know, no worries.
What about the question, like how you deal with the Vietnamese? Is it you have a problem with this partner? Because I'm totally agree. I think we all have like this rental problem when you try to find something and the people like showing up. Is it people saying like they have same behavior like when you do the business, or how it affect your business?
So. So in my experience, I always try to be super careful with partners or any leadership role that I am hiring in Vietnam. And there are in my experience, there are two different types of talent in Vietnam. One is serious entrepreneur or a serious sort of like a corporate person. And what I mean by that is they dedicate themselves to the business. Okay, like they're highly professional, hardworking. They are good. You can trust them and they can take care of things. The second group, I don't want to call them untrustworthy, but they are freelancers. In other words, they have you as a customer and then they have 5 other people as customers too. So they are sort of like juggling different things all at once, right? Which means obviously sometimes you are going to be a lower priority from compared to another person that they might be working with. So I think the first thing to always realize is, hey, like, who is this person? How are they doing business? Are they going to be dedicating themselves fully to my business? Like, understanding all of that is very important, because I had poor experiences with people coming from freelancer background, because they almost have that habit or nature to give you the minimum that they think is going to satisfy you, and then switch to the next thing, right? And it doesn't work with me like that, because I need people who can 100% be focused. Yeah.
No, it's also maybe about supplies, you know, the people who you're dealing with, like maybe, I don't know, you have like Ice Hub, you have some maybe partners like catering or like, from, if you say, from 10 times, how usually is the bad experience? Like 7 of 10, or maybe 3 of 10, or like 8 from 10, it's usually good experience and 2 bad. So not only like freelancing, but working with the partners and everything.
So you are talking about not just like employees and business partners, but also talking about like vendors, right? Yeah, I mean, I think like the kind of vendors that we needed for ACE. Yeah, you need your interior designers to design the space. You need your furniture makers. You need your, suppliers of coffee and tea and this and that. You need your accountant. You need your lawyer, right? Like ultimately, you are working with a lot of people. So I think there has been a learning curve. Like initially, the number of bad experiences that we were having was a lot more because, you are working with people for the first time and they end up actually not being a good person to work with, right? But over time, I think through learning and through talking to others, you find the right partners. And once you find the right partners, there's been good. Like recently, I'm just thinking like in the last several months, I don't think we had any major issues with our landlords or with our suppliers. Things have been working okay. But I also want to give a lot of credit to the Vietnamese team that I am working with, right? Like, so my work partner there is Vietnamese, our manager is Vietnamese, and they take care of a lot of that stuff. And like I know firsthand experience that because they are Vietnamese and they can talk to landlords and vendors and whatnot, they have been able to get some favorable deals for us. It could be with pricing, it could be with timing, it could be with some simple things like, you can actually move 2 weeks before. That's fine. Like I'm going to be able to give you the keys 2 weeks early. Like things like that, they actually work out. The kind of experiences that, some of you had with, landlords or other vendors, they are sort of common. Like foreigners have that sort of experiences because, and that's what I was trying to tell you earlier too. Yeah, in Vietnamese mind, you are a lower priority than some of the locals that they might be working with. Huh? Yeah, you're a guest here. And if they don't serve you well, or if you don't have a written contract, even if you have a written contract, you have a problem going through the police. If it's just a verbal agreement, who cares? Like, who are you going to complain to?
It's universal, in every country it's like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do you find your Vietnamese business partner? How do you know that this person you can trust?
Yeah, so with ACE, like my relationship with Queen Anne didn't start as work relationship. Like I met her and then we became friends first. So I think through that, like I could see, oh my God, like this girl really cares. She's super hardworking and she's somebody who is very much exposed to the nomad community itself, which means if she has a bad experience with me, that's going to affect her credibility in the overall nomad and expat community, right? Versus your landlord, you might be like, yeah, who cares? Like go out. Like, I don't want you. Like you are going to complain. Who are you going to complain? Like, who cares? So that there were a bunch of things like that made me feel like, okay, this person has her own intrinsic motivations to do things right. So I can trust her. But, it wasn't like, if let's say I am trying to find a business partner now and I'm like interviewing people or something, like that would not be my process at all. Like you need to find ways of vetting people outside of that. Like other people need to say, yeah, this person is solid to work with, or you need to have non-business experiences with the person that makes it feel like, okay, this person is trustworthy and they are committed, etc. Yeah.
Can I ask you how you divide the income with your partner? Because if she help you with registering the business and you do like all other process, how you divide the whole income?
I mean, I think the right way to think about it is just like any business, right? You are creating a business with another person. How much value are they going to bring to the business versus how much value are you going to bring to the business? And at the very beginning, it's a little hard to quantify these things because you haven't done anything yet, right? So my sort of suggestion, thank you. My suggestion with this sort of thing is, and we do it in the US with startups all the time, like there is this thing called vesting. So you don't commit to a share percentage right away. You don't say, okay, we are creating the business today, it's 50-50. What happens if 3 months later you leave the business? Then what do I do, right? So you have this vesting schedule. Essentially, what you agree to is you agree to the contributions that you think you are going to make, and I agree to the contributions that I am going to make. But your shares are going to get vested only after those contributions materialize over time. Like in America with startups, the standard vesting schedule is 4 years. And in the first year of the startup, you don't even get any shares. Nobody gets a share. If anybody leaves in the first year, you're out without any shares, right? So there are essentially ways of, incorporating some of that. Like obviously this is not a tech startup environment. You have to give people some assurance early on. But I would say, come up with a plan and make it clear that, hey, you are going to get these shares only if you deliver as you are promising. If you don't, then no. And we are going to quantify my contributions and your contributions. If we are only helping with legal stuff, whereas I am bringing the customer, I am running the operation, I am, hiring, well, obviously I should have far, far, far more shares than you do, right? Yeah. And so there are, if you search online too, there are ways to quantify it. I'm happy to help as well if you want to chat more about it. Yeah.
What about your own experience, for example, like in ICE working space, like how you divided?
ACE?
ACE, yeah.
Oh yeah, so I mean, it's the same. So we have done the same thing actually. We basically said, okay, there were a few things that we were doing, right? One, we were all putting some capital in, so that capital is important. But capital cannot be the only determinant, right? Like, let's say I put more capital than my partner, and then I'm like, all right, I'm done. Now you build this business for both of us, right? That's not fair either, right? So capital is part of the value. The other value is, okay, who's bringing customers? Who is bringing, like at ASAP, we are running all these events, right? So who's bringing events? Who's bringing yoga teachers and meditation teachers and everybody else? Like, because that's where the revenue is going to come from. So you want to be able to line by line list all of those things that are going to be very, very important to your business.
Put it like in the contract.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we did. We listed all of those things that were critical to the business. And then we said, okay, I am providing 30% of this. Queen Anne is providing 70%. And I am providing 60%. She's providing 40%. Okay. Now based on that, then let's quantify this. And the other thing that we try to do, which doesn't have to be your way, is we were like, if we can, let's also match our financial contribution with our operational contribution, because that makes things even simpler, right? Like if I am providing like 30%, let my contribution be 30% too. But it doesn't have to be. As I said, like there's a way to quantify all of these things where, maybe somebody is not able to put in much money because they don't have capital, but they are going to bring in so much operational or marketing expertise that they are going to contribute.
Yeah. So I just want to ask about the legal thing. You mentioned in your presentation that you either have to have a partner, as a Vietnamese partner, or you have to get some lawyer, like accountant and so on. So on the legal part, is that you have to have a partner, or you can register your company by your own and manage it by your own, and it's like legally okay to be a foreigner, have a business, like just to have this 15 or whatever million?
Yeah. No, sorry if it came across that way. You don't have to have a Vietnamese partner or a lawyer or manager. My suggestion is that life gets easier if you have those, right? But I know people, like I have a friend who is a restaurant owner here. He has been, operating in Vietnam for a very long time, that now he thinks that he knows the law better than his lawyer, So he's like, yeah, I'm just going to do everything myself, right? I don't need my lawyer. So there is a way to do all of this without anybody is involvement. Yeah, you can do everything. Yeah.
And if you open business just for your own, do you have some requirements to hire at least one Vietnamese person or two or more?
No, you can. Any business here can be completely foreign owned. You don't have a requirement. Requirements only come in if you are buying land and stuff. Like you cannot own land without, or like you cannot own the majority of the land or a certain percentage of the land as a foreigner. But businesses are fine.
And if you're doing business, for example, with a foreign, with a Vietnamese partner, do you still need like special visa requirements, or you can just be like with your tourist visa, like 3 months, and then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Tourist visa is fine, but the good thing is you can apply for like a temporary residency card when you own a business.
If you're having a business with a Vietnamese partner?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, not just Vietnamese partner. If you have a business here, if you own a business here, you can apply for temporary residence card. Yeah. So it starts with 2 years, and then you can extend it.
Sounds so good.
Yeah.
Any business, like just open a business,
I mean, because in order to open the business, you are putting in capital and all of that. So those requirements are already met, right? And then you can take it and apply for a temporary residency card.
I don't know if you, but in Bali, they have this kiosk when you like open a business, but it's very often it's like not real business, just in work. Is it Vietnamese government will be looking? Are you making profit? Are you like already 1 year and you have this visa? Are you like have some real business? Are they looking, or they like don't care?
No, they do. They will ask for revenue. They will ask for revenue. I mean, let me remember this. When I was going through this, we already had revenue. It's good to check with the lawyer. Like that's what I remember. Because Vietnam also has this investor visa, which is you can get like a 5-year visa if you are putting in like the last I checked it was $180,000, but they are now finding loopholes around it too. So ultimately, even if you don't have revenue, if you put in more capital, I am sure you are ultimately passing the threshold. It's just, it needs to be a combination of those two things.
Yeah, just to clarify, you said basically for the foreigners, you don't need to have the local partner. However, like I have a friend, she's a local. She has her own shop, like I don't know, smoothie, juice, whatever it is. And when I asked her, she told me like it's basically supposed to be a local partner. So that's why I just wanted to clarify. You're saying no need, it's not a mandatory thing. Like,
No, not a mandatory.
Really, a foreigner can open their own business. Okay. The second thing, when it comes to the shareholder details, again, is there any specific? You were mentioning earlier. It depends, like who, how much they will contribute. Let's say this person in marketing, this person in looking at like negotiation with locals and stuff.
Yeah.
So. Is it any specific percentage you can, as an owner, keep it in the contract, or there is a law or policy that is exactly like, I don't know, like 49% or something like that?
No,
nothing like that, right?
No, nothing like that. So I think the right way to think about it is, let's say you are building relationships with your landlord and suppliers and government, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to rely on your local partner to do it. So the local partner just needs to be incentivized enough to feel like, oh yeah, I have skin in the game. So I am really doing my best to get things done, get the most favorable deals, this and that. So otherwise, like, your landlord doesn't know who owns how much percentage, right? So they don't care, right? So it only matters in making sure that you have a motivated, committed partner who is willing to do all of those things on your behalf. If they are like, yeah, you know what, like, I am just in this for the ride, I don't care that much, then you're not going to get the benefits of this, right?
I have a question. So, like, if anybody of us want to open business, and it's better to do with Vietnamese partner, but you cannot just go and ask people on the street, I don't want to be. How do you recommend to find, like, if you say it's better, but you say just interviewing people is not an option? Maybe any like hacks how to find it?
Two things. Let me clarify first of all that, again, I definitely don't want to give the idea that you need to have a Vietnamese partner. That's not the case at all. All I'm trying to say is life is going to get easier if you have a partner or a lawyer or an accountant or somebody that you can rely upon to, deal with people here, right? So that's the first thing. So if you don't have a partner, that's fine. Like, there are solid lawyers, solid accountants that you can work with. I can give you lawyer suggestions as well. That's totally fine too. If you want a partner, I definitely wouldn't recommend you to put yourself into a position where you are attracting the wrong kind of people. And how are you going to attract the wrong kind of people? If you say, hey, I am opening a restaurant and I need a local partner, that's definitely going to attract the wrong people, right? They're going to be like, oh, okay, great. Let me get in this. So you need to get to know people in different contexts, and you need to vet people, through other channels to be able to trust them. Otherwise, definitely don't put yourself out there and make you a target for anybody who might be interested in taking advantage of you. Yeah.
I also want to ask, so for ICE Hub, for ICE co-working, what's the license and documents you need? Because ICE is also a café, yeah? And do you have any special license?
ICE is also what?
Do you need to have, what's license and documents you will need to open this business? Or
So opening a co-work is relatively easy because, for a co-work, you are literally just renting an office space and then adding computers and AC and this and that, right? Where it gets complicated is anything with F&B. So if you are going to open a coffee shop, restaurant, then you need additional health licenses to make sure that, in terms of hygiene and refrigeration and all of that, you have what you need. So that's the first thing. The second thing where things can get a bit more complicated is because ACE owns multiple businesses, right? ACE has co-working, ACE has ACE Hub, and coffee shop, like we are on Grab and this and that. Just like managing them through like IPOs and banking, etc., is a bit complicated. But otherwise, from a licensing point of view, we've done everything according to the law, and things went fine. Like there was never like a pushback.
Process is an expensive process, or
no.
It's not. Long time
Yeah. It's like I would say the actual paperwork and application is very straightforward. Then you have to wait for the government to come and take a look and, tell you that, hey, it's all good. You are good to go ahead. But it's not that. It's not
1
that.
month, 2 months?
No, less than that. Less than. Like once you have all the necessary pieces, I would say it's a week. It's a week's work. Yeah.
What's tax system here for small business? I remember you mentioned earlier, but if you can maybe tell a little bit more.
Yeah, so the taxes used to be, so here's what people did before. I don't want to complicate things for you guys, but I just want to provide the context. People could get these like family businesses earlier, and if you get a family business, taxes were far more favorable. You just put an upfront few million Vietnamese dong, and that was enough. Now, government says, doesn't matter how small of a business you are running, like a coffee shop or restaurant, you need to have your IPOS, you need to do your invoicing right. I need to see those records, and then I'm going to tax you like a percentage of your revenue, which is also crazy. So it is different for different businesses. For food, the last I checked was 7%. Yeah.
So nice.
Huh?
So nice numbers in
But it's also revenue.
comparing to Europe. It's like just perfect.
Yeah, they because otherwise these businesses would go bankrupt. They can't go crazy.
But if you have huge revenue, your percentage will go up, yeah?
Yeah, so they definitely have different thresholds, but like that's why I'm talking about like a small business. Like if you are making less than 300 million a month. Yeah. Then.
What is the requirements for family license? For instance, if it's me and my friend, can we apply as a family?
So they kind of eliminated that.
They got it fully.
I think you have to be really small to qualify for that now. Yeah.
Really small. What do you mean by that?
Like maybe you are making less than 50 million or something. I think. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I have a question. How about the corruption risks? Because a lot of entrepreneurs say that they have some corruption expenses or paying something to police extra for some.
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
you have something like this?
exactly. So that's why I am telling you guys, choose your expense, right? You can choose that expense, or you can say, you know what, I'm going to work with a solid Vietnamese person or a lawyer, and they are going to help me out. Because yeah, like, I mean, if I want to come and examine your business, I'm pretty sure I'll find something that's not working. Right? Like if I really, really want to find something, I'll find something, right? So that's the way to think about it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's the same in anywhere in the world. Like if they really want to find something, they will. So that's why you want to give them less reason to even search for something.
That's where your Vietnamese partner could be helpful.
Yeah, exactly. That's precisely right.
Yeah, I have a question.
I have one more question about the risks. I visited your ACE coworking. It's great. I like it.
Ah, awesome.
Staying for several days. But how did you manage the risks that your business can be not profitable because of a lot of different cafes with free space?
Yeah.
And co-working business as a business looks like not profitable in Ghana.
Yeah, so and that's true. Like when we first opened it, for the first several months, it was not profitable. It was making a loss. So I guess I'll give a personal take on it, and then I'll give a more business take on it. Like personally, for me, it was more like, yeah, I want to try this. Like I'm okay with the loss. You know what I mean? So I was already entering it with the mindset that, yeah, maybe we are going to make some loss, but it's okay because the loss is small here too, because your costs are low, right? But when it comes to, you know, to be able to run a physical space business, you are right. Like you have other co-working spaces, you have coffee shops, right? Like that you are competing with. Yeah, I mean, it takes a while to really differentiate yourself from everybody else. And you really need to be very clear on who your audience is, right? What is it that your customers are looking for, and just deliver it as good as possible so that they don't feel like, oh, I can just go to a coffee shop and order a, you know, soda and just work there, right? So that would be my suggestion, and be also very careful with the seasonality in Da Nang. Like right now, even though things still feel alive, a lot of nomads actually left. You know, compared to March or April, there are far fewer nomads. So if your market is nomads, right now you have a lot of locals and Korean and Japanese tourists, but not nomads. So you want to also pay attention to that.
So when you say that you make it still profitable, am I understand right that you make a community, you make events, so you not so your main profit is for payment for co-working, or you do some additional things and it's help you to grow profit, it's help you not
Yeah,
to
I mean,
pay the debt.
It is so we are running 3 different spaces essentially. There's a co-working space where you can go get a seat. There's the event space where you can come and rent the room and run your own event, right? Like it can be yoga, it can be movie night, it can be whatnot. And then there is the coffee part where, you know, we are serving coffee and food. So yeah, I mean there's separate revenue coming from each, and the margins are different for different businesses because of the costs and the logistics involved with each. But yeah, I think like our philosophy at ACE is we are building spaces for nomads and expats to come and, you know, have a good work-life balance. So we create good productive working environment, but then we also want to be able to offer community and activities and spaces for a whole bunch of other things. So that, like, let's say I'm coming from San Francisco to Da Nang and I am like, I'm going to be here for a month. What should I do? Oh, I can just join ACE, and then they have everything for me. Yeah. So that's sort of the idea with what we do.
wanted to ask you because I'm going to ACE like to the dance classes,
Yeah.
and your staff always ask us to put the music on the low level because
Ah.
you have co-working downstairs,
Right,
and
right.
we just can't hear the music, and it's just like a little bit conflict, you
Yeah,
know, because of
yeah.
co-working space and dance classes upstairs.
It's a little.
Yeah.
I agree. So for those of you who have been to Ace Hub, right? So Ace Cowork, it's all quiet. Ace Cowork is just meant for working.
Yeah, it's
But-
like close here. It's
But
not-
Ace Hub, Ace Hub. So the second floor is in the mornings. This is like a yoga and meditation. In the afternoon, then dance classes come in. And I noticed, especially with like high heel dances and things,
Yeah.
you know, ladies want to pump up the music, right?
Yeah.
And then the stuff downstairs is, oh, is it too loud? Or like, are people here getting, bothered because downstairs
both
people
sides,
work?
because, you know, I just-
Yeah, no, I mean, no, you are right. I think it is. It's a tough balance to establish. I think, right? Yeah. I think like we opened the space only 3 months ago now. Yeah, 3 months ago. So we are still experimenting and trying to understand like which hours work for what best.
But the good things I do really like the interior. When me
Yeah.
and my dance teacher saw it, like we immediately decided we want to dance here.
Right.
Like, so beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll get it right so that nobody's going to be bothered and everybody can do everything they want.
But how to manage the karaoke outside the building?
Well, the good thing about karaoke is Vietnamese themselves are doing karaoke outside of their homes all the time. Like sometimes I'm like driving in random neighborhood and this lady is singing with the speaker out and like just blasting. The whole neighborhood is listening to her, right? And it's like 10 p.m. I'm like, aren't there babies like sleeping somewhere? Like, how is this? People don't mind that for some reason.
Then they woke up at 5 a.m., go to the beach and do sports.
Oh yeah, I mean that too, right? Like,
crazy.
how do they find that energy? You know, they are dancing. You know, they have their costumes and choreography and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you met Ace owners and first time, she has a company. Yes, she has this herself company.
She already had in a smaller space. The
Smaller
Ace already
space.
existed. Yeah.
Uh-huh. When you start work together, you first you open own company, like together company, or you some join to this company. How it started?
Yeah, we actually we created a new company. Yeah. We created a new company, but it was also for other reasons because we were adding like a coffee shop and you know.
But she has a small.
And that previous
small
place
business,
is
small places.
previous place is closed. So like we closed that and then we moved it to the new spot. Yeah. So the old place doesn't exist anymore.
Do you have some bureaucratic challenges? What's like, oh my god, it was so hard. This was something what you like we need to know.
I mean, so one of the things that I try to help as much as possible is with financial projections, right? Because I have more experience doing that. So I've done all these projections and I'm like, okay, I think we have this right. And then all of a sudden tax law changes, right? So you have to like adapt to that. Or, yeah, I mean, I think, when it comes to, like, I would say the biggest challenge really is, with bureaucracy, it is the lack of predictability. And that affects things because you want to be able to trust that, hey, whatever laws I see today, they will be the same 3 months from now so that I can plan accordingly, right? But all of a sudden what happened was they changed the law and then they were like, oh, we don't only change the law, we are going to apply retroactive taxes since the beginning of the year. I'm like, come on now, like what the hell, this shouldn't happen. But they've done it, yeah.
I'm also wondering, like, if you open a business, do you have to stay in the country like for the whole time the business is functioning, or you can actually like leave the country, let the business running, like yeah, like is it necessary to stay here always, like as a foreigner? Because it's like not obvious.
No, I mean it's not. I am not aware of any requirement like, hey, if you have a business here, for that business to maintain the license, you have to be present here. Nothing like that. it's more of an operational challenge. If you're not here, who's running it? That's the question.
And you have employees, right?
Yeah.
How many employees you have?
So in my American startup that has a team here, we have 20 people here in Da Nang. ACE has about 15 people now.
Okay, and next question. It's about salary and motivation. How much do Vietnamese people expect to earn, and how to keep high motivation to make them provide good service, good customer service?
Yeah, I mean that took me some experimentation, honestly. So I mean that there are two things, right? Like for my startup, like I hire engineers and data people, and I'm not giving them international salaries, but still they are making far more than Vietnamese salary. Like if they were working for a local tech company, they will be making about at least 30%, 40% less than what we are paying them. But that's because I think they are good enough, and compared to hiring somewhere else like Eastern Europe, it's still much cheaper here. So I can justify it that way. For ACE, I mean, you have two different kinds of employees if you are running a physical space in Vietnam, right? You have your daily staff who's just coming in, taking over shifts, right? Like you need somebody to sit at the cashier from noon until 5 p.m. or you need a barista from 8 a.m. until noon. So there's a big talent pool for that. And many of those kids, they are actually students in universities and they are taking these side jobs. They might be working at other coffee shops too. So their only expectation is the market rate, salary. And right now, like, just to give you guys an idea, like for a barista, the market rate is on average like 20,000 dong per hour.
What's his monthly rate in USD? Like, more or less.
I mean, like, so if it's, let's say it's $1 per hour, right? Okay. So it is like, if they are working 40 hours a week, $40 a week, like.
So it's not seriously, like that's regular.
Yeah, I mean, that's how much the local employees aren't making much money here. I mean, that's the market rate. Okay. But since you asked about motivating, like, I think what's important is motivating the higher level employees, like people who are actually managing. Like if you are not in the country and you need somebody else to manage the business for you for a month, they need to feel like, yeah, like I have a stake in this business's success. So, I am a big proponent of profit sharing in general. So I do profit sharing with all my higher level employees so that they feel like they have stake in it.
And here in Vietnam, it's not super popular for locals to know English. And is there any difference between salary for a person who don't know English and know English? Do they expect earn more?
Oh, yeah. Like,
so did you struggle with this question to find, as your customers are nomads, they speak English, you also need your service providers as English?
Like anybody who is in the kitchen all day don't need to speak English. But anybody who is interacting with customers need to be able to speak English. And yeah, they are going to expect more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely make more money.
Okay.
How much more? Can you just give an idea?
I mean, I think like, we are not talking about big numbers. It might be 5,000 to 10,000 dong more per hour. Yeah. So it's not like a huge jump all of a sudden.
If it's not a secret, like how much? So Ice Hub, it's like totally new business. Yeah, you opened 3 months ago, and it's very nice and it's good example because it's a small co-working space and also a coffee shop and also event space. How much work did you do to make it look so good, and how much money it's cost to open this business, maybe from zero to begin? If you're okay to share the amounts.
I probably cannot share the details.
Okay.
Not just for my reasons, but to be respectful to my partner as well. But I think you guys can like get a rough estimate. Just like look at market rates for rentals. Plus, if you are like starting for the first time, how many employees do you need? Maybe you need 3 or 4 people. Like I don't like if you're opening a similar space.
But you need like a budget, minimum, maximum, like what you need to have like to open kind of similar, like
Yeah.
minimum maybe.
You are talking about cafe as well, right?
Yeah, maybe quite.
Yeah. So like once you talk about all of those, where you actually end up spending most of your money is if you are going to serve foreigners, and if you expect them to come there and sit there, like you need to have a good ambience, right? So yeah, you can rent a building, but you need nice, comfortable chairs, and you need a nice design. So you end up spending a lot on actually designing the space, right? Like for example, some of you, like you've been to ASAP, the second floor, right? We have a nice wood floor, right? Well, we ended up spending money on that, right? That's why it feels nice to have that. And then we have mirrors on the walls and lighting and all of that. Like, you don't need to do any of that, but when you don't do any of that, then maybe fewer customers are going to like it. Yeah. So I would say like construction is your big cost. And then if you are running a cafe, imagine you need a coffee machine, you need a blender, you need a juice maker, you need all the cups and fridges and all of that, right? Like one of the hard things about, running a F&B business is you are dealing with perishable goods, right? So even if you aren't selling anything, you are going to lose money. You know what I mean? Like, so that's one of the tough things.
50,000, 100,000.
It depends. Again, I don't want to give a specific number because it depends on a lot of things, but yeah, like it can be high, like it can easily be 50,000. Yeah.
But for example, like if it's a yoga studio, yes, like if like open your like yoga studio, it's maybe possible to do with rent, yeah, like and do like
Yeah, if you need
it will be much less, yeah, because you don't have a cafe.
Yeah, if you want to open a yoga studio, what do you need? You need a nice space. You need a nice floor, maybe curtains. Okay, none of them are super expensive. You need AC. Yeah, that's about it, right?
Like 10,000.
Yeah, probably. Like, yeah. I mean, a lot of landlords here, when you rent the space, they will expect for like a 6-month rent plus 3-month deposit. So that can add up. But outside of that, construction, yeah, 10,000.
If you rent some places, like your places, and we make a good business, but after maybe 6 months, years, and landlord this place look, oh, this is good business, maybe I don't want add contract to next period, yeah, like.
And give me more money. Like, is it happen situation or not? Like when you like have a contract for 1 month and then your business is successful and everybody sees you're making more money and say no, pay to type higher.
Like employees are asking to pay for higher?
Landlord.
Huh?
Landlord.
Oh, landlords. Oh, no. I mean, so I heard, so I'm actually surprised that this is still happening. It happened to some people here where they were using some really good locations and they didn't have a contract. They just had a verbal agreement with the landlord. And then the landlord was like, yeah, okay, I need double the price. That can happen if you don't have a contract. Yeah, so get a contract. But once you have a contract, in the contract, you have lots of terms, including how much they can increase the rent from year to year. So you get your protections in place. But those are the kinds of things that you need a lawyer for, you know what I mean? Like, because there are, again, loopholes in the law that locals may know, and then as a result, they can say, oh, you didn't have this clause, so I can now kick you out or increase the rent. But if you have those in place, then they will be fine.
Okay, for example, you having like a yoga studio business and things go well, and you decided, okay, I will expand my business, I will do additional cafe, and then you think, okay, I can put additional, like, I don't know, bar thing, or whatever. Do you need like new license for like new direction of your business? Yeah, you should put like each direction unique license.
I mean, you have 2 options. If you already know where you are going, you can try to get all those licenses at the beginning. Or if you want to say, hey, I want to keep life simple, just a yoga studio now. 6 months later, okay, let's add a coffee shop, then you need to get all the F&B licenses. 6 months later, bar, okay, now I need to get all the liquor licenses, right? But they will all be additional. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
The question is that we discussed the license, your partner or relations. Would you recommend and share with us your contacts with your legal or accountant services? Because
Yeah.
I know that by own self it's a little bit hard, but choose the right legal service or right accounting service. It's not easy way if you are not entrepreneur.
Right.
And
Yeah.
can you recommend them?
Of course. We're happy to recommend lawyers. When it comes to lawyers, there is this one go-to lawyer that everybody is working with almost in town already, like all the foreigners. So I can suggest that. Yeah. And with accountants as well.
Yeah, my question would be like about trust and like what I notice in Vietnam, there's a lot of scams and like these little things, like people like to just do some scams and like in business. Is it happening also like that you have no trust to people and you have to make sure to do some, I don't know, some contracts like for supplying something or whatever?
Or
Yeah.
always have a contract.
Like with suppliers specifically, or with
Yeah, not
anybody?
specifically. I mean, like just in business, if it's common that people lie and do like not dishonest actions.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example, right? I have, as I said, I have this tech team here. We let go an employee, and the employee contacted a whole bunch of our customers and was like, hey, I can be your outsource engineer. You don't need to work with Oda. I'm going to charge this much less, and I have the code base and this and that. And the clients are in the US, they immediately forwarded the message to us. And then my manager here was like, she called him and she was like, look, we are going to take legal action against you because in your contract, you cannot solicit clients. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. You have to delete all the code immediately or we'll take legal action. So I guess, yeah, so it will happen. So you need to have all the protection you need, especially if you want to do a software business. That's something to be very careful with, because they are so used to being freelancers. They are like, oh, okay, I have this code now, or I have this data now. Let me just take that and let me see if I can put it on Upwork and sell it to somebody. Even if you are just running a coffee shop, I mean, I don't know what kind of cafes you guys want to create, but let's say you want to do something very authentic Eastern European, right? Like you have your own recipes. Well, they will learn your recipes and they may want to go repeat it elsewhere, right? So it can happen. So that's just part of it, and you have to be, careful with those things.
I want to say, maybe we can have like 3, 5, maybe last questions, because we're already soon 1 hour 30 minutes. But maybe not too much. I have. You can think maybe you have like some important questions. I have a question. So for example, let's say like 2 scenario.
Yeah.
One, we open like yoga studio. Yeah, we invest like 10,000, and like the non have the seasoning, people coming and going. What's from your experience we can wait when we start to make a profit and stopping losing money? It's like 5 months, 1 year, or it's individual to each business, or maybe you have some time that we need to like minimum 1 year, because my fear was to open a business in Vietnam because prices here, even for coffee, even for co-working, so low. So I always wondering how they make a profit. They have so many things, they have a suppliers, how they make a profit. So like if you like invest 10, 20, 30, 50,000, like what's maybe amount of time that we can wait to money coming back? Is this possible to answer?
I mean, you don't want to be losing money, I would say, more than 3 months ever with any business. Like you need to, like unless you are like running some sort of a tech business and you have your R&D costs or something, right? Like it shouldn't be that you are losing money more than 3 months. But that's not the question you're asking, right? The question isn't how many months I'm going to lose money. The question is, if I put 10,000, when can I expect to recoup my investment back? Yeah? Yeah, like I think a good expectation to have, it's not about, you don't adjust your timeline. You just say, hey, I need to get my investment back in 12 months. And then based on that objective, you can evaluate, is this the right business? Maybe it's not. Maybe you just decide, no, I shouldn't do this because I'm going to end up spending all that money and I cannot get my money back. So what's the point? Maybe I should do something else. Maybe instead of yoga, I should do Pilates. I can charge more. I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's important, right? Like you have to consider that, and you should have your own business objectives to stick to.
I have for myself, I think maybe last question. So if like we stay step by step how we can open business with our partner, for example, we just go to some how to say government building. I don't know, make some forms. Open a company, take a license, open banking account. And then done. So it's not so hard, like it's possible to done like open business like less than a week, it's not very hard. Okay.
It's not enough.
Anybody have questions?
Last question. Please share with us what you think is the most unobvious observation about working with Vietnamese people, what we don't consider as Western people, we don't consider important, but for locals, it's very important.
I think in addition to a few concerns I shared about, especially the freelancer groups, what I would say is Vietnamese people have the attitude to do things. So if you tell them, hey, there is this problem, they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to go and solve it. The problem is, though, they don't understand what the problem is sometimes. So it's always a good idea to ask, okay, repeat what you think needs to be done. Otherwise, they're going to go and do what they think needs to be done, which is not what you need. Okay? So I love that attitude. For example, I used to have a team in Turkey. The problem with Turkey, or my people, is they're going to give you 20 reasons why they should not do that job. Okay. So that's not the problem with Vietnamese. Vietnamese actually want to say, okay, I'm going to go do it. All right. Let me go do it. But they don't have the full understanding of what it is. And they'll say they understood, but they didn't. Yeah.
Okay. That's a great tip. I really appreciate for that. And the last question from my side, you have 3 different businesses. So it's good that you investing in different things. So one is like, let's say, yoga studio, one is like a coffee shop, and one is like a working space. And you already mentioned that here there is a season, meaning like, okay, maybe from May till June, for instance, it's a co-working space, which is brings you a lot more income rather compared to the rest of the business. F&B, we all have to eat something during the day, and so I believe it's the most convenient business at any country at any point of time, because regardless of which season it is now, people still will go and have their coffee, smoothie, or whatever it is. But looking from your perspective, when you're running all these 3 businesses, what would you say, what's bring the most income out of this 3? And if we're looking at the seasoning, how, so the main question is what the business will run 24/7 and will bring the income.
What the business will run what?
24/7 and will bring the income.
I mean, there are, I think, yes, seasonality is something to consider. The other thing to consider is where the market is going, what's happening in Da Nang. I'm going to talk specifically in Da Nang context, right? And what's happening in Da Nang is more and more expats are coming, more and more nomads are coming. So last year, this time was much emptier than this year, this time. Yeah, so it already gives you a trajectory, right? Yeah. So it depends on the capital that you have, but if you could do something more on, living, like building homes for people, like apartments. If you could do like create residences for people, I think there's going to be one area of big demand. Like people definitely need residences. So if you have capital for that, right?
So it's most like a real estate, you would say.
Yeah. So I think real estate will definitely develop a lot here. That's one area. And obviously, when there are more people, they need food, right? So if you are opening restaurants and stuff, you're not going to lose. But I would say real estate is the big thing. And then the second big thing is if you are involved in anything related to tech, they will probably give a lot of tax incentives and exemptions. So if you are building something for AI or data centers or semiconductors, they are going to say, okay, come work here. We're not going to tax you for like 5 years, or here's your 5-year visa, right? So those things are probably going to get really favorable too. But yeah, like outside of those things, I mean, none of them are like easy accessible things. Outside of those things, like I think I am big on, I would say, both food and also wellness spaces in Da Nang. I think it's been attracting that audience quite a lot. And space, like if you look at the existing spaces, especially, it's hard to find a good dance studio or a good yoga studio. It's just
low competition in the market.
Yeah.
It's like 2 or 3 dance studios.
Right. And part of the problem is because of the way they build things here, like they're always like these narrow, tiny apartments. You don't have much space, I mean, this is like the width of the space, then you can't do much in it. So I think those things can have good demand, but you need to look into like how much you can charge. Since a few of you mentioned yoga, you should get a sense of, okay, like if teachers in my community come and offer classes here, how much can we charge? Like, is that going to return investment right away, or is it going to be really popular 2 years from now, right? So those are the things to look into. Yeah.
I think maybe last 1 or 2 questions. One.
Okay. One of my question, maybe you say this information and I didn't hear. How long you run Ace business already?
How what?
What time you run Ace business?
What time?
Yeah. How many years? How
many
long?
Years? Oh, just a year and a half.
Few and a half.
1 year and a half.
1 year and a half. And amount, how many years maybe you before have another business in Da Nang in Vietnam? Yeah. How many years exactly?
Since 2022.
Okay. So my question is, for this time when you run business, what maybe you see tendency in future, maybe from government? Because right now, from my experience, what I see, I have before experience in Thailand. In Vietnam, it looks like more easy open business and run it than in Thailand. About level of bureaucracy, about corruption, and many rules about employee, and so on. So my question is, what, on your opinion, professional opinion, tendency, maybe in future government wanted make it strict, harder for foreigner open business, or you think maybe next 10 years it will be in same level because Da Nang improving, and on your opinion also how his audience will be changed, and so on. It's like basically a question about future of this area. Things.
So have you guys been to like Hanoi or Saigon? Have you spent much time there yet? So a few good things about Da Nang. If you think of Da Nang, one, Da Nang has much better infrastructure than both of those cities. Like you cannot drive in Saigon anymore. Like you are stuck in traffic all the time. It's a much better livable city, right? Pollution-wise, it's nicer. And Vietnamese government actually about 5 years ago designated Da Nang as the Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia. They want to sort of position it that way. So obviously, government has some intentions of building this city as more of an international city, like a tech hub, Obviously, it is very touristy, right? It is good beaches, good hotels. So those things will continue. My expectation with Da Nang is two things. One, all this infrastructure and the network and ecosystem here is already going to attract more nomads. And the second thing is, you guys probably hear it in the news, because of AI, a lot of businesses in the US right now already are laying off employees. I mean, if I am an engineer living in San Francisco and I was just let go with 3 months of severance, and now I am like, oh, maybe I should create my own business. Well, I might want to move somewhere that is cheaper and nicer and, right, like has access to talent. So I do think that in the future, more and more nomads, like the number of nomads will increase globally as well.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like same vibes.
Right, exactly. So that is likely to happen, and so I guess I'm very bullish overall in this part of Vietnam, and I would say central Vietnam in general, but especially Da Nang and Hoi An. I think they are a very good mix as well themselves. Da Nang growing more like a nomad and a tech hub, maybe Hoi An remaining more like a heritage tourist wellness hub. I think that's likely to happen. So from a, and I think you also asked about challenges maybe, right? I do think that it's going to get easier. They will make it easier for people to move in and create businesses here. That's already what the new law does. You guys can Google digital transformation law. They literally passed it on Sunday or last Friday. It will be effective January 1st of next year. So they want to attract more and more of people who are especially active in digital markets. So I think government has a strategy. I think it is aligned well with what's happening in the world. So overall I am positive. Yeah. The only big problem you have with any place like this is another COVID-like event, I don't know, like another global pandemic, or China attacks Taiwan and I don't know, the whole Southeast Asia is shut down. I don't know. Or a volcano in Indonesia goes crazy and you cannot fly here or something. I don't know. But something like that happening is a risk. Otherwise, I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I think we maybe asked all questions. So
Let's
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.